I know when you talk about indentured servitude, they have family, some of them back in Mexico or El Salvador or wherever these cartels know who they are, where they are, and that's their leverage, right? If you get up there and you don't work off the money that you owe the cartel for getting you here, then we're going to hurt your family. We're going to kill your family members. We're going to do things that we use it as leverage for you. So these people can't get up here and just disappear. They might be working in prostitution. They might be working in slave labor, dealing drugs, transporting drugs, whatever. What happens if they're here and they get picked up and deported so they can't work off their debt to the cartel? What happens to those people then?
So the ones who are deported, the cartel throughout South Texas seems to have pretty much a universal policy. If you get 3 chances to make it in for the amount of money you paid while you were in Mexico, there's 3 chances for that money to come in. So if you come in from Mexico and you make it to Goliad, I catch you, I turn you over to Border Patrol, you get deported, you report back, you have 2 more opportunities to come across without paying extra money. What the hidden fee is once you do successfully come in the country and you get to Houston, you automatically owe an additional, say, $10,000. And you're absolutely right, Dr. Phil. I've had people tell me when I've asked them, why are you here and why are you doing this? And I've had people tell me, if I don't do what they've told me to do, they've told me that they will make my sister, my little sister, leave the house and they will put her into forced prostitution. And I've had people tell me that. And so now the cartel, if I as law enforcement catch them and arrest them, that's an acceptable loss in their business model. But if he abandons his position, that's not an acceptable loss. Because if I catch him and put him in jail, that's no harm, no foul. He does not have to pay that back. He is now, while he's in jail, de-obligated to the cartel until he gets out. But if he absconds on his own and decides not to fulfill, then you're absolutely right. They may take his sister and put her into prostitution. They may take his little brother and they may make him, basically a pack mule in the jungle to haul dope out, or they may send his brother to the United States against his will. So the cartel has a vast network. They keep track of these people because to them, people are not human beings made in the image of God like you and I think about them. People are merely a means to generate revenue. They are a product in and of themselves, and they are a much more valuable product than any drug will ever be, because I can only sell you cocaine one time, then that cocaine is going to be gone. But I can sell a human being over and over. And if it's somebody that I send into prostitution, I may sell that same person 10, 12 times a day, more in some instances. So I have a recurring revenue off of that person. So that person is an investment. And that's how they look at them, not as human beings, because much like a Marxist-Leninist, they do not look at people as being made in the image of God, just as something they can use for their own benefit.
It's interesting. It seems to be universal because I talked to Sheriff Lamb in Arizona, Sheriff Daniels in Arizona. They face the same thing out there. They tell me these people, they feel for them. They say, look, they're here and they have to work this off. It's like, yes, I'm stealing this stuff from these homes. Yes, I'm trafficking these drugs. I don't want to, but I don't have any choice. If I don't, my mother's going to be on the corner. My brother's going to be a drug mule. I got to work this off in some way. And what they don't seem to realize is they'll never work it off. They don't ever get there. It just compounds so fast that it's a life sentence. You owe your soul to the company store. It's like, I'll never, ever get it worked off. That's what I think people are not getting a grasp of. You said it so well. The millions of people that are already here are a complete criminal syndicate within the United States that needs to be taken down, or the cartels will continue to do their business. It's not just the border, it's the whole syndicate that exists within the country. And I really worry about China. There's like 36,000 Chinese, most of them young military-age men, that have crossed the border into the country, mostly down south of San Diego, but they're all around the United States. What are they doing? We don't know where they are. We don't know what they're doing. But you don't just wake up in China and decide, hey, I think I'll go to America. They had to have permission. They had to have sponsors. They had to have a way to get here. Why? What's their agenda? It really worries me.
I read an article a long time ago about how this functioned in China. And it's pretty interesting because basically you're absolutely right, Dr. Phil. So if I'm in China and I'm going to come here, and let's say I'm even going to come here legally and I'm going to get a visa and I'm going to go to the local university and go to college here somewhere in Texas. Before I get my visa and I come here, I have to meet with a military intelligence advisor at my house with my family. And I apply for the visa through them. And then they give me the conditions upon which I'm able to obtain my visa. And traditionally, every month, I will have to send back a report. They will tell me what they want. Say I'm going to Austin, Texas. They may tell me, okay, we need to know where the fire stations are. And I have to go out and map all the fire stations while I'm here. And I send that back. Next month, okay, at this fire station, what apparatus do they have? What equipment do they have? Okay, what is their shift? How many people are on a shift? I have to send them back pieces of information every single month. And if I fail to comply and I fail to do that, then my family eventually winds up in basically a slave labor camp. So they run it just like the cartel. And so the people that are here from China have to report that information back. And we've known this for a long time. We were talking about this 20 years ago, that the Chinese, before you had the, Google Earth and the little car driving around filming everything, they already had everything mapped out. They had our infrastructure. They knew where our transformers were, where our transmission lines were, where our water towers and our treatment plants and our sewage. So the Chinese have been at this game for a very long time. I remember a time probably 15, 20 years ago when the Chinese, we knew they had 10,000 people they had taken to Mexico and were having the cartels smuggle in. And they were just basically stacked up there in Mexico, coming in as the cartel could get them smuggled across the border. And so this is nothing new. But the other part of this, like you talked about, with regards to those people being placed in slavery right here in the United States, we have people on the left that will say, well, it's compassionate to let these people in. It's compassionate because they live in a grass hut somewhere in a really hard country, and they should come here and live a good life. Where is the compassion in slavery? If you bring somebody here and you put them into slavery, where's the compassion with that? Is that really what the United States stands for? Is it okay to allow somebody to bring them here and enslave them? There's far more compassion in preventing the illegal crossing at the river or at any border than there is to allow criminal organizations to enslave tens of millions of people within your country. And that's exactly what's happening right now.
And that doesn't even take into account the abuse, torture, rape, molestation, and all that they go through in the hands of the cartel while they have them before they cross over. We've talked to so many that clearly have been through all kinds of mistreatment at the hands of the cartel before they actually get here, not to mention sometimes, particularly in Arizona, the terrible conditions they have to live in and survive to get inland, to get where they're going. So this is a complex issue. I just am so thankful for you giving us insight into this. And you've clearly studied it, you've lived it, you're working it with fellow law enforcement members and not just sitting there with your feet up, as you say, on the desk down there. I think it's safe to say that the people in the county paying your salary are damn sure getting their money's worth. So God bless you for everything you're doing down there. Keep it up.
Well, I'm nobody. I'm just a servant in a community, because all of us who collect a check from the backs of the taxpayers, that's exactly what we are, and that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be servants. We're here to do what's supposed to be done. And like I said, if we take their money and we don't provide them with the service that they're paying for, then we're no better than thieves. And I sure as hell never want to be a thief, Dr. Phil.